Oh hail, aspiring viewers. I'm Mance Raider. I'll be your host. Would you like to provoke a veritable storm of swords? Participate in a Game of Thrones? Maybe leave your friends as a feast for crows? Well, then I have a game for you. A Game of Thrones, the board game of Thrones. It's a strategy war game, and I'm here to teach you how to play. A Game of Thrones is at heart a strategy board game. Now, to win, you're going to have to capture 7 of these territories that are marked with castles. Once you have 7, you win. Then the next person to have 6 gets second place. But aim for conquering 7 territories with castles. Now, in order to do that, you're going to have to move your units around the board. To do that, you're going to use order tokens. The 3 order tokens we'll go over in this video are the March order, defend order, defend with a helmet, and the support order. But we'll get to the latter 2 later. So when you're putting down orders, we're going to all put them down on the anonymous side, which really only has your house insignia on the back, and only you know the actual order simultaneously. So, and we'll assign them to all our units, and then we flip them over simultaneously because war happens in real time. Now, the orders displayed here are March, which lets you move your units from one territory to a neighboring one. You have some options with this, such as if you have a group of units, you can move them to the neighboring territory as 2 at a time, or however many you like, or you can split them up and send groups into individual units and into separate territories. But the big thing is you can only move one territory over. So the second order, and for the purposes of this on the next turn, we put them all face down. And the second order we're going over here is the defend order. Now, when you employ a defend order, you really don't have those units do anything. But if they're attacked, they can get a small advantage in combat, which is represented by this little +1 that is +1 combat strength. So remember, the helmet is for defense because it protects your head. And then the the defend order is essentially the opposite of a march order, because where a march order is an invasion of a new territory or an attack on neighboring units, the defend order has them go nowhere, but is it's the defense to the attack. And lastly, we have the support order, which is the helping hand, if you will. The support order is the most strategic version, or the most strategic option you have here. It determines who wins and who cries himself to sleep tonight. The support order is how you aid an army in one territory with an army in another. See, if you were to order 2 armies from different territories to attack, ignore the fact that I just swapped house orders, okay? To attack one larger army separately, it would likely end badly because, for the purposes of the game, all battles happen separately, like after each other. So your one guy would get killed, and then your other guy would get killed. But if you use support, then you can have this guy help out the other in his attack. So you fight with the strength of both, but you're only really risking one. But so when you employ a support order, one army will stay put and lend a hand, if you will, to a nearby army, and it gets to choose which nearby army, in case there are multiple battles happening nearby, at the time of the battles. But it can only help out one army per turn, just like how this March unit can only move the units in the territory once per turn. So, yeah, finally we can arrive at the big picture here. I'm just going to move everything back to the original example. The big picture here is the combat. The goal of the game is to seize the land, and combat is how you drive opponents off the land you deserve. When one unit fights another, 3 steps get taken before the fight is resolved. The 2 sides will call for support from neighboring armies. So in this case, this Tyrell unit is going to call for support from the only unit that can support it, because it's the only unit with the support order near it, which is this guy on the Boneway. So once you get the support issues resolved, such as this guy choosing to support him, you have you calculate the initial combat strength. The initial combat strength is the number of knights and footmen you have, plus the plus the number of knights or footmen supporting you. So, for this guy, his combat strength is going to be 2 initially, because he's got 1 guy and 1 guy supporting him. And then for the Martel unit, which is going to be attacking him, it's 3 because he's got 1 knight with the strength of 2 and 1 footman with the strength of 1. Pardon me. So then the next step is to draw house cards, which is where you get to see all of your favorite characters from the Game of Thrones saga. Hush, Magnus, you cute little doggy. So the Tyrell house is going to draw its card randomly and draws Randall Tarley. And Martel has drawn Ario Hota. If you don't know these guys, don't worry. And don't worry, all the cards are not the random side characters. There are actually Jaime Lannister and Theon and Eddard. So you will see the characters you love and hate. So the anatomy of the house cards are up here in that little left-hand corner. That 2 represents them gaining 2 combat strength and being led by Randall Tarley. And that sword means if they win the combat, the sword at the little bottom there, not the one in the image's hand, represents that if they win the combat, they get to drive the opponent back, and they also kill one of the opponent's units. Typically, if you lose a combat, you're just driven back and you have to retreat somewhere. Ario Hota's ability gives them 3 combat strength, and that little tower, fortress type thing, means that if they lose the combat, they get to protect one of their units from the swords of the opponent. It's essentially a cancel out for the swords. And so lastly, we're just going to factor in the fact that Tyrell has employed a +1 defense order. So he's really combined with the 1 support, the 1 defense, the 1 guy for 3, and then 2 from Randall Tarley. He has 5 combat strength in the final calculation. And then Martels have 2 from the knight, 1 from the footman, the 0 march order, but 3 from Ario Hota, so they have 6. Which means that this unit, the Tyrell footman, gets driven back to an unoccupied neighboring area. So they're going to move back to here. These orders get removed, all 3, and that combat is resolved. Hopefully I did an adequate job explaining this. If you want me to remake the video, I might, but please don't. Please just try to watch it again. If you have any questions, leave them in the messages, and I will get back to you, because I can probably explain it better on text, but I think it's good to see it. So then, yeah, I will see you in the next video.